Hey guys, I'm Chris back and a very warm welcome to Friday Fretworks. On this week's video, I'm going to be taking a closer look at whether it is possible to get a killer vintage guitar for under £200. Now, we all know that the vintage guitar market in particular over the past 10 years or so has gone a little bit insane, pushing most instruments of any kind of decent pedigree out of reach of a lot of working musicians, pretty much all working musicians to be honest. And as such, it's becoming increasingly harder just to find old, cool stuff that maybe 20, 25 years ago would have been 10 a penny or just infinitely easier to get hold of. To be honest, I'm not much of a vintage guitar guy. I've had some very cool opportunities, especially since I started Friday Fretworks, to play some amazing guitars. 57 gold tops, 59 bursts, 60 bursts, 51 telly, 56 strats, 54 strats, all these amazing guitars. And as much as it's an incredibly cool opportunity to play these guitars, and they invariably are fantastic, the idea of actually owning these instruments or gigging them or touring them or taking them out of the house kind of stresses me out, to be honest. Not just because of their value, but a lot of them, as great as they are and as fantastic as they sound, in a lot of cases feel like old instruments. And I heard a great analogy recently that sort of summed it up for me, and that is playing old guitars can be like driving without powered steering. That's kind of how it feels sometimes. And if you're touring, you just want reliability, you want stability, just want everything that's going to add up to a reliable guitar night after night. And old guitars don't always offer you that. But can't deny they are undeniably cool in the right circumstances, and if I see something that really turns my eye, I'm a little bit of a sucker for an impulse buy, such as this. Now, to give you a little bit of background, I was in Glasgow in Scotland last week and stumbled across this in a fantastic little guitar shop that, if you're ever in Scotland, absolutely implore you to check out, called Strung Out Guitars. And they had this for sale in there for under £200. As I said, it was actually £199. I think I still have the pound change in the front pocket of the case to prove it. Advertised as a late 60s audition. I knew absolutely nothing about auditions, so I did a little bit of research on my phone to try and find out what it was, and I've come to the conclusion that it is more than likely a Teisco. Teisco, let's call the whole thing off. I'm not entirely sure how to say it, but all I do know is that it's a Japanese brand manufactured between the mid-60s and the late 60s that were intended as an entry-level learner guitar. More than likely imported into the UK, this particular one, but they were very commonly imported into the US as well, and sold at department stores like Sears or like Woolworth, or in the UK, they were sold at Woolworths. So if you know anyone from that era who had a learner guitar, more than likely an Audition or a Teisco or whatever they were chosen to be branded as, they were the same instruments, one will have passed through their hands at some point, and as such, they are fairly common. And I guess because of their entry-level guitar nature, don't command the silly high prices that a guitar of a similar era, maybe a legacy brand, would, maybe fetch. So, set about plugging it in and seeing what it was like. And honestly, absolutely blown away. I mean, I'm not going to lie, it's not the easiest thing in the world to play. The action is a little bit higher than I would like, and the intonation is a little bit interesting, should we say, on certain frets. But it just sounds incredible. It's got this great resonant hollow body thing going on, and two pickups that I'm not entirely sure what they are. By looking at them, I conclude that they are, single coils, but they sound more akin to P90s, I would say. They've got this great barky kind of ballsy thing going on that's a little bit closer to P90s than is your single, traditional single coils. It's clearly had a very interesting history. It's full of holes in the most literal sense. We have a hole in the headstock next to the Audition logo where maybe looks like someone bolted it to a wall. It's got holes in the body through the front and the back that correspond. So again, I don't know whether someone's tried to bolt it to a wall at some point. Goodness knows, I don't know what's happened, but either way, it's obviously had a bit of a checkered history. and had been sat and strung out for a little while until they told me they came across the right replacement bridge for it. I think either the bridge was missing or it was non-period correct, and then one happened to actually show up that was fitted to this guitar and did the job. As I said, it's a little bit interesting to play. It fights you on certain occasions. The intonation is not perfect. The action could do with being a little bit lower, so I'm going to look into whether that is possible. But overall, it has vibe. That's the main thing about this guitar, which I fell in love with, is it's just going to be one of those guitars that I can guarantee inspires songs, inspires riffs, inspires chord progressions and melodies, all of this cool stuff that maybe something a little bit more traditionally safe or new might not actually inspire. So no doubt there will be more videos on this guitar in the coming weeks and months as I continue to fiddle around with it and record with it. Wouldn't necessarily tour it. I don't think it's going to be reliable enough for that. But as a day-to-day beater around the house to try and do some writing and try and get some ideas out of myself, I think I found a great guitar for the money. I mean, 199 quid, what's that? You'd get your money back if you sold it on eBay anyway. So, and if you do know anything more about this guitar than I do, please let me know in the description or the comments even below, because I'm a little bit clueless as to any specifics about it. I found one or two that were for sale on Reverb in the past, but aside from that, nothing too precise. So, as ever, thank you very much for watching. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Please do subscribe if you aren't already, and I shall see you next week for another episode of Friday Fretworks. Cheers, guys. Take care, and I'll see you soon.